Tensions in the Middle East escalate as President Trump declares the Iran war terminated. Meanwhile, a significant political development unfolds in the U.S. as Congress faces questions over military actions. Here are today's top 10 stories you need to know. A new COVID-19 variant has been detected, raising alarm among health officials and the public. This variant, identified in multiple countries, exhibits mutations that may affect transmissibility and vaccine efficacy. Health experts are urging caution and encouraging vaccination as the best defense against severe illness. The emergence of this variant comes as many countries are lifting restrictions, leading to concerns over potential outbreaks. Monitoring and research are underway to assess the variant's characteristics and implications. As the world continues to grapple with the pandemic, the need for vigilance remains critical. Public health officials emphasize the importance of ongoing surveillance and preparedness to respond to any resurgence of cases. The situation is evolving, and updates on this variant will be crucial in shaping future public health strategies. Global oil prices have surged dramatically in recent trading sessions, raising significant concerns over economic stability. This spike is largely attributed to escalating geopolitical tensions, particularly in oil-rich regions, and production cuts enforced by major oil-producing nations like OPEC. Analysts warn that rising fuel prices could further strain consumers, leading to increased transportation and goods costs, which in turn may impact inflation rates worldwide. The energy sector is responding with heightened vigilance, as businesses brace for potential disruptions in supply chains. Governments are closely monitoring the situation, recognizing that fluctuations in oil prices can hinder economic growth and recovery efforts post-pandemic. As nations reassess their energy policies, the urgency for sustainable alternatives becomes even more pronounced. Looking ahead, this crisis may accelerate investments in renewable energy technologies and infrastructure, shaping a more resilient energy landscape for the future. The Amazon rainforest in Brazil is experiencing alarming rates of deforestation, drawing widespread international criticism and concern. Recent satellite imagery indicates a stark increase in cleared land, primarily due to illegal logging and agricultural expansion driven by global demand for commodities. This vital ecosystem is not only a sanctuary for countless species, but also plays a critical role in regulating the Earth's climate. Environmental activists emphasize the urgent need for protective measures, as the loss of biodiversity and carbon storage capabilities poses a significant global threat. The Brazilian government has pledged to tackle these issues, yet enforcement remains challenging amid economic pressures and competing interests. The consequences of deforestation extend far beyond Brazil's borders, disrupting climate patterns and exacerbating global warming. As discussions on sustainability intensify, the fate of the Amazon is pivotal. Advocates are calling for stronger international cooperation to ensure the preservation of this irreplaceable natural resource for future generations. India has initiated its new census process, marking a significant step in understanding its population dynamics. This census, the first since the pandemic, aims to provide updated demographic data crucial for policymaking and resource allocation. Accurate data collection is essential for various sectors, including healthcare, education, and infrastructure development. The last census was conducted in 2011, making this update particularly vital as the country faces rapid urbanization and changing socioeconomic conditions. However, challenges remain, especially in regions affected by ongoing tensions and conflicts, where ensuring participation and safety is paramount. The successful execution of this census will directly influence future planning and development initiatives. It will help address the needs of India's diverse population, including marginalized communities. As data collection progresses, the government will closely monitor participation rates and regional challenges. The results will ultimately guide policy decisions and resource allocation, shaping the nation's trajectory for years to come, with a focus on inclusive growth and equitable development. Efforts to revive peace talks in the Middle East have stalled once again, as key stakeholders fail to reach a consensus. Recent discussions aimed at addressing ongoing conflicts, particularly between Israel and Palestine, have been met with resistance, highlighting the complexities of the geopolitical landscape shaped by historical grievances and territorial disputes. The lack of progress raises concerns about the potential for renewed violence in the region, especially as extremist factions may exploit the situation. International diplomatic efforts led by the United States and other nations are ongoing, but the situation remains tense as both sides seem unwilling to compromise on critical issues such as borders and security. Analysts warn that without significant breakthroughs, the cycle of conflict may continue, further destabilizing the area and exacerbating humanitarian crises. The impact on civilians is profound, with many enduring daily violence. Looking ahead, renewed dialogue is essential, and stakeholders must prioritize trust-building measures to foster a sustainable peace in this volatile region. Inflation rates in the United States have surged to unprecedented levels, igniting widespread concern among economists and policymakers alike. Recent reports reveal that consumer prices have escalated sharply, primarily due to soaring costs of essentials such as food, fuel, and housing. This inflationary trend prompts critical questions about the effectiveness of current monetary policy, as many fear it may not adequately address the underlying issues. The Federal Reserve now faces mounting pressure to respond, with discussions around potential interest rate adjustments gaining urgency. As inflation begins to erode household budgets, millions of Americans are experiencing financial strain, prompting calls for government intervention in the economy. The shifting economic landscape could have far-reaching implications, affecting everything from consumer spending to savings and investment strategies. As policymakers deliberate their options, the future of the U.S. economy remains uncertain. The pressing need for effective measures to curb rising prices and stabilize the market is evident, and all eyes will be on upcoming Federal Reserve meetings for decisive action. A severe tornado struck parts of the central United States, causing extensive damage and prompting emergency responses. The tornado, classified as an EF3, touched down in a populated area, uprooting trees, damaging homes, and leaving many residents without power. This powerful storm is part of a troubling trend, as meteorologists note an increase in the frequency and intensity of severe weather events linked to climate change. Communities in the region have historically faced tornado threats, but the severity of this storm has intensified concerns about preparedness and infrastructure resilience. Local authorities have mobilized emergency services to assist those affected, with shelters being set up for displaced families who are now grappling with the loss of their homes. Community organizations are rallying to support recovery efforts, although the road ahead will be challenging for many. As investigations into the storm's impact continue, residents are urged to stay informed and ready for potential future storms, highlighting the urgent need for enhanced emergency preparedness measures in vulnerable areas. China's economy is showing signs of significant slowdown, alarming global markets and economists alike. Recent data indicates that the country's growth rates have fallen below expectations, raising concerns about a potential ripple effect on international trade. This downturn is exacerbated by various challenges, including persistent supply chain disruptions and a real estate sector grappling with mounting debt. These factors have led to reduced consumer confidence and spending, which are critical drivers of economic growth. Analysts warn that diminished demand for exports could negatively impact economies worldwide, particularly those heavily reliant on Chinese goods, such as Japan, South Korea, and several Southeast Asian nations. The potential for an economic contraction in China raises serious questions about the stability of global markets, prompting calls for strategic adjustments from policymakers. Investors are closely monitoring the situation, as any significant decline in China's economy could lead to increased volatility in stock markets around the world. As China's leaders consider various stimulus measures, the effectiveness of these actions will be crucial in determining the trajectory of global economic growth over the coming months. The international community awaits definitive steps to stabilize the situation. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has intensified dramatically as Russian forces have launched a new offensive targeting eastern regions. This renewed aggression marks a significant escalation in hostilities, with heavy artillery and aerial bombardments reported in cities like Bakhmut and Severodonetsk. Such attacks raise alarms over civilian casualties and underscore the precarious situation for millions living in conflict zones. This offensive follows a period of relative calm, during which peace talks had briefly offered hope for resolution, highlighting the volatility of the situation. Ukrainian officials are urgently calling on international allies for increased military aid, including advanced weaponry, as well as humanitarian assistance to address the growing crisis. The international community is closely monitoring the developments, as the outcome of this offensive could dramatically shift the balance of power in Eastern Europe. Humanitarian organizations are mobilizing to assist displaced civilians facing dire conditions, including shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. As NATO and the EU deliberate their response, the potential for broader conflict looms large. With both sides preparing for intensified clashes, the coming weeks could prove pivotal in determining the trajectory of this protracted war. The stakes are high, and the need for decisive action has never been clearer. In a surprising announcement, President Donald Trump informed Congress that the Iran war has officially terminated. This declaration comes just as the conflict reached a critical 60-day legal deadline set by the War Powers Resolution, which mandates that military operations must cease unless Congress votes to authorize their extension. The backdrop to this decision includes escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran, particularly following the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in early 2020. Critics, including Senator Tim Kaine, argue that the administration's move is legally questionable, suggesting it allows for continued military operations without proper oversight and could set a troubling precedent for executive power. The implications of this decision are profound, as U.S. forces remain stationed in the region amidst ongoing hostilities, including threats from Iranian-backed militias. Many lawmakers are demanding accountability for what they term an unauthorized conflict, emphasizing the need for a robust debate on military engagement. This announcement could significantly alter the dynamics of U.S. military engagement in the Middle East, raising pressing questions about future operations and the role of Congress in military decisions. As the situation unfolds, Congress may need to assert its authority, potentially leading to a reevaluation of U.S. strategy and involvement in the region moving forward. Thank you for watching. Which story surprised you the most today? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.